Hey everyone, today we have with us Precious Karibo, who is a product manager based in Kenya. He works at a company called Kwara. So we're going to be talking to him about everything about being a product manager in Africa and also how he started his journey and some tips for you guys as you start building your product management career. So Precious, welcome to Entry Level.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Let's kick off by just learning a little bit about more at what you do. What is your role at Kwara and what does the company do as well?
Okay. So currently I am the product lead for the Kwara New Bank application. So basically what we do at Kwara is, first and first, we believe that the best way to drive financial wealth is through credit unions, right? In this space for the context of Kenya, they are called circles. And then because we strongly believe that we are in the business of basically, we are the technology partners for credit unions. We serve about 100 credit unions in this space. We provide a core banking solution that allows them to bank their customers digitally in branch and take a step further to beyond allowing these circles or credit unions bank the customers in branch. We take a step further to allow their customers interact and enjoy or consume their credit union, the credit union offerings through a member or user-facing application, which is what I manage basically. So our products across for the member-facing applications across mobile app, iOS, Android, web app, and USSD. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell. So we basically serve the credit union space end to end, providing value to the credit unions all the way to their members.
Awesome. That's very exciting. And fintech is a growing field all over the world in Africa, specifically speaking as well. So that's very exciting. We would love to hear a little bit more about your personal story. So how did you get started in this role and what were you doing? What were you doing before as well, before you started as a product manager?
Oh, funny thing is that I actually started I started off my professional career as a product manager. I was a co-founder of a startup in Nigeria, where we were trying to solve the problem of a very expensive digital outdoor advertising. So, in the process of founding this company, where I wore like a million and one hats, one of the hats I wore was the hat of a product manager. Unfortunately, like most startups, we died painfully. Did a few other startups post that, died also. Then I went over to the so-called dark side and I joined a bank in Nigeria where I grew into a product management role at that bank. Yeah, so that was how my journey basically started, from me trying to solve problems that I felt like were very important to be solved, to going to join a much more bigger institution, traditional bank, to become a product manager. And then the rest is history.
Awesome. So you've been a founder as well. That's
yeah.
And I guess that like part of the role of founders is, especially in the startup world, is also similar to product managers because they work with product managers, or if it's an early startup, they act as product managers to decide what's going to be on the product, what features to build, and how to proceed with the roadmap.
Yeah, actually, that's super accurate because in the end, the product manager is. I'm sure like most of people don't, most people that view that watch this video would also see online. Product manager is the guy that sits in the intersect between everything. Basically, he's the voice of the business in the midst of the entire engineering team and all the other stakeholders. So manage the actually voice of the business / the customer. So your job is to you're the custodian of the business goals and the customer's goals at the same time, while you manage every single stakeholder to help you achieve those goals. So yeah, it's very similar to a startup CEO or CEO or whatever role you'd have at the early days of the startup.
That's a really great point you brought up. Like product managers are the voice of the business plus also the voice of the customer. I think I'm gonna write that down. Awesome. I'd like to hear more about what does your day in a what does a day in your life look like as a product manager? So on average,
Man,
what do
where do I
you
start? um, so
or
basically,
maybe like
for okay.
a day sorry, a day is like maybe too simple for a product manager. What does a day in the
Mhm.
week look like over the week on
Okay.
average? What are the different
Now,
tasks that you might be doing?
now that sounds better. That's something I can actually think about, right? So basically, a typical week for me would be obsessing about the roadmap, obsessing about what's currently being built, obsessing about the business objective, obsessing about how users are currently using the product. Um, like basically, so I'll give you an example. A day for me would be I wake up in the morning, I get to the office. The first thing I do is I pull up my dashboard and I look at all the metrics. That's literally the first thing I do. It gives me information. It tells me what's happening. Are they using the product as well? Is it going down? Why is it going down? Maybe I don't get any insight on that particular day, but you look at it long enough, you begin to see trends. You begin to ask yourself why things are going up, things are going down. And then you obviously go into the typical rituals with your engineering team, your stand-ups to make sure that the sprint goals that you guys have set are still on track. You also it's a bit of for me for my role. It's a bit of the both of them in the sense that I am with the engineering team every single day, helping them giving them clarity to what they need to build. Um, Also, I'm with the business team every single day, making sure that I'm able to translate business problems to customer solutions, right? So, e.g., we want to reduce, say, we want to increase retention. That's the business objective. But what does it mean for the customer, right? Or we want to drive revenue. Um, that's the business objective. But what does it mean for the customer? So we need to, so I need to always be in the middle of engineering, the business, all the business operations functions, just to make sure that I have like a rounded view of my product and I can properly steer it to where it needs to get to.
Very exciting.
So
I mean,
in a nutshell, 1,000,001 meetings, speaking to everybody from external users, so external stakeholders, which would be users, to all the internal stakeholders as it relates to your product.
awesome. Great. Thank you for sharing that. And in your journey with Quora and your previous roles as well, what are some of your favorite features or products that you worked on?
I mean, it's like I guess it's like ask me, father, which is your favorite child, right? I so every product I have worked on is unique in their own very special way. I can start from like my experience working at a bank. I work with Access Bank. From some people might recognize that name in this video. I worked with Access Bank. I was a product manager for our credit card. Um,
Mhm.
for as a product manager as a credit card, we had built the face of the sky. I don't think anybody has built that till date. It's basically a draw card, basically a card that allows a customer to have a debit card and a credit card in one plastic card. That was a very unique solution that we had to build. So that's a very special thing to me because blood and sweat went into building that product. And I could literally also see like real lives that were changed because of the fact that we put in all that effort and energy to get that product live. Then I moved over to Fair Money, which is a digital bank in Nigeria and also in India, where I was a product manager for debit cards. So at the time I joined Fair Money, we had no payment solution whatsoever, especially for card payment solutions. At Access Bank, I was managing one of the largest card portfolio. So I was building and managing one of the largest card portfolio. At Fair Money, we had nothing. So I had to build it from scratch, right? So building that from scratch, that's a very special thing to me, right? I manage the big guys. Now I build the small guys and build it from the ground up. And then moving over to Kwara, where I'm the product lead for the neobank, for the credit union neobank, where what we're trying to solve particularly is creating seamless access to credit unions and seamless access for every single body that wants to grow their financial health grow financially in a very healthy way through credit unions. So basically creating a gateway that anybody can join the Kwara application, find any credit union, and begin to save almost immediately, right? That's a very special project to me. I also believe that I don't believe I stand to be corrected. Nobody in this market has done or is doing. I think we'll be doing it anytime soon. What we're about to achieve. So every single product comes with its own unique issues that or problems that you have to solve. And then in the process of solving the problem, it makes it super special. So I don't think I can say I have a favorite because I mentioned 3 different companies I've worked in. In every single product that we built, there were special features in every single product. There will always be that thing that it seemed impossible for you to figure out some very crazy solution that allows you to like pull things together and get it done, right? And then when you get it done and you cross that bridge, you're like, you built that thing, right? So a lot of people don't really look at take a peep under the hood to see all the moving parts that brings those things to life, right? Yeah, I feel like that's what makes the product special, not what we see, not what we experience. It's those tiny things in the under the hood that we never get to see.
Right. Wow, very exciting. Seems like your previous products and the features that you worked on, everything is all related about fintech and finance. What excites you about this space? Like, what do you enjoy about working in the fintech space?
I mean, money. I just like seeing money. I'm joking. Yeah, so I'd say it was an acquired taste. I wouldn't say something that I always thought about that I wanted to do. I found myself in the bank, and I was a product manager in the bank. So you have to build banking solutions, and then it just evolved from there. So but what really for me now that I have it's an acquired taste, I have acquired that taste. Now I have that hunger for this space. What I'd say excites me the most about this space is especially the African space, is the endless possibilities. There are so many solutions that haven't been built. So many problems to fix. And in the end, also, it's never always like the very complicated solution. Sometimes it's just this very simple looking solutions that like gets the job done. So what excites me in this space is that I can actually see the products that I build and how it literally directly impacts the life of people financially. Right. I have stories for this, but yeah, so this is what excites me about this space. Besides the money.
Awesome. So when you're like launching new features or products, and there's a lot of things involved in the product management, the process to launch either a feature or a product can be quite long depending on how intricate the feature is. And product managers work closely with a lot of different departments. There could be the design department, there could be the developers, and also like working with the management of the company. So what skills help you collaborate well with colleagues from different departments, and what would you suggest, like the skills that people should build to be able to work collaboratively with others as
well? If I just put everything in a nutshell, it would just 2 things. One thing is communication. Yeah, like you need to be very good at communicating. Communicating both ways, right? Passing information that people understand exactly the way you want it to be understood, and hearing exactly what the stakeholders are saying in the exact same way they want it to be understood. That's 2 different things. You need to be able to properly communicate both ways. That's one. Then the second thing would be a very in-depth business acumen, right? What that means is that as a product manager, it's not enough to just know your space, your own product, or your feature, or whatever, depending on the company, depending on the skill of the company. You have that tiny feature, you're building just that tiny thing. You don't know anything about the company. Knowing every single business unit and how it impacts your product allows you to properly scope who are all the stakeholders that will be impacted by my product, in order for you to from the beginning, right? There's a problem in your job, you've been tasked to solve, right? As you craft this solution for this problem, because obviously it solves the business need and solves the user need. As you craft the solution for this problem, you already, because you know every single stakeholder that needs to be involved in this project or this product or this feature, you can carry everybody along from the moment the solution is being born till the time it's ready to ship. So that way, everybody's aware, everybody's carried along, everybody knows how it impacts their own arm of the business. Everybody is ready to accommodate that product when it's finally launched. Yeah, so those two things: communication, two ways, and proper business acumen, in the sense that you understand your understand the company enough to know how your product impacts the entire company and how the entire company impacts your products.
Right. Communication and listening as well, which is part of communication.
Yes.
Well, what about some like having technical knowledge as a product manager? Does that, it's of course good to have technical knowledge, but if someone is getting started in the field and transitioning from, let's say, more of a business side or a marketing side to a product manager, how important is it to have strong technical knowledge? So like about coding and development and all those things, and how should one?
Scale of 1
What
to
are
10. How important is it to have technical skills as a product manager? Honestly, I'll say it's a 3, maybe a 4. And my reason for saying it's a 4 is because a product manager is not an engineer. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to have a clear understanding of the how, so that you can help the engineers execute exactly the way it's meant to be executed. But your job is the why, which is on the business end of things. Your job is more on the why for the business and the user. So I would say it's a 3 because in the end, maybe leave that a 4, because in the end you need to really know your product, and then if it means diving into the code and looking at every single line of code, then you need to do that. But I don't think it's a requirement for you to become a product manager. Why I say that is also because what you need as a product manager, more than technical skills, is the hunger. You need to be hungry enough to want to learn. If you have the business acumen, you understand the business and how your product impacts the business, or how your product can help the business grow, every other thing can be learned. You can learn all the technical languages. You can learn APIs, endpoints. You can learn all those things. It doesn't take so much to learn those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Since you're talking about technical knowledge, and product manager, like, let's talk a little bit about the tools that a product manager might use in their day-to-day lives. And there's so many softwares out there these days. What are some tools that you use on a day-to-day basis to collaborate with your team or to manage your roadmaps and to check your metrics? What are some tools that you use?
So honestly, I've never been a big fan of putting product managers in the box with regards to tools. So you must use Jira or you must use a specific tool. I've never been a fan of that, because in the end, it's the outcome, not the process. A lot of product managers that are focused on the process, not the outcome. The process could be it should evolve depending on your team and what you want to achieve. That's a very conversational altogether. But with regards to what tools, for documentation, I personally prefer Notion. This is a personal preference. You could use any tool of your choice. I use Notion for documenting everything inclusive of my roadmap, right? And then when it gets to the point where I have that feature or that epic needs to evolve into like different features that needs to be estimated and prepared to go into the sprints. Then I move. So in Kwara, we use shortcuts. We don't use Jira. We use shortcuts. So we move it to shortcut. I have used Jira also at my previous company, but here I use Jira. Like I said, the tool is not so important. You just get to figure out what the tool they use at that company, and then you adapt to that. So we use shortcuts to manage engineering tickets and development cycles, whereas I use Notion for all things documentation. Now for analytics, I right now Tableau, Metabase for static data, and then I use Mixpanel for dynamic data, real-time data, because with Mixpanel I can map things like user journey, basically map user journey. I can see real-time events as they happen. You can still see it on Metabase, but it's more real-time with Mixpanel versus Metabase. So there's some things you want to see them as they happen real-time, especially when you launch a new product. You won't monitor his life. You also see everything happening in real time. You don't want 1 hour or 2 hours lag. You want it happening. Then after a while, then you can evolve to maybe 6 hours lag or maybe a day lag, depending on your expenses on the analytics tool side. For wireframing, I'm not so particular. I use Whimsical, I use Google Flow, I've used Figma. I'm not so particular about the specific tool I use for wireframing.
Awesome. We use Notion a lot as well. I mean, I think I spend most of my time for work on Notion, just documenting stuff and creating new stuff.
Notion is the best. I think I notice. I feel like I don't think I can go to any company and not force them actually to use Notion.
Yeah, and the shortcut, you can automate a lot of things with Notion as well and connect it with Slack, so it makes a lot of processes very easy.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. A lot of our students struggle with a couple of things. One is understanding how to build MVPs, especially when they're doing doing the portfolio tasks. When they don't work for a company, but they're trying to build their portfolios, maybe doing some passion projects. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience working and building MVPs and what they help you achieve, and any thoughts on MVPs that you have?
Yeah, if you actually this is a very interesting topic because MVP, the concept of MVP has been skewed a bit over. Also, programming is a very relatively new space, so it's also very understandable that things are a little bit still shaky. For MVP, the way I see MVP is, of course, as a title, is most viable product. But I mostly see it as what's this problem you're trying to solve? Then what's the fastest, most reliable, most usable, most achievable thing you can build to solve that problem, right? That's how I said MVP. It could be, for example, let's imagine you want to, so the lot of examples, but basically, what is the smallest thing you can build to allow you to solve that problem? It doesn't have to be fancy. Because the goal of an MVP is you have a problem, you think you have a solution. In the end, you never know. You think you have a solution. You have two choices. You can spend 3 months building a solution, 4 months building a solution, and find out that it's just not what the right solution to have. Or you could find what version can you have in the next maybe 1 month max, that will allow you put it in the hands of a user. It doesn't have to be pretty. Put it in the hand of a user that allows them to test and give you immediate feedback. Because the sooner you get feedback, the sooner you can iterate, the sooner you evolve your product in the right direction. So you know whether you're on the right track or not. A perfect example would be you want to move from point A to point B, right? An MVP should not be building a car, like a vehicle, right? An MVP could be skateboard. Maybe not even a skateboard. A skateboard. Flat board, 4 wheels, stand on it, move. You start moving. Then you ask yourself, how comfortable is this? Maybe I want to move a little bit faster. Okay, what do I do? Maybe I want a little bit comfort. What do I do? Then you begin to evolve it to whatever it gets to, right? A product manager kind of never knows where. You might know, but a lot of times you don't know where the product would end up. The MVP allows you to give that product life so it can grow and have a life of its own and tell you what it wants to be.
Perfect. Amazing. I actually, am I on mute? Oh, awesome. I remember I think I saw a graphic somewhere about that skateboard example where I'm just trying to find this. Yeah, where 1 second, maybe I'll share my screen so people can have a visual as well. So it's this one, right? Like thinking.
Yes.
Thinking, having this mindset. You don't have to build the tires and just the car first, but going step by step from a skateboard to a scooter to a cycle and then moving there. It's just an example which can be used for software products when building
Yes.
new features.
I wouldn't even say it can. I would say it should always be used for certain products. This is to make sure that, because I personally believe that failure is a huge part of our process. You need to fail.
Mm-hmm.
The sooner you fail, the sooner you learn, the sooner you can evolve and move course correct. If you spend more time trying not to fail and you eventually still fail, you just wasted your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Learn to deal with failure and not getting bogged down by failure, instead using it as motivation to build better products. Great. So next, I'd like to hear your thoughts on sort of prioritization that product managers use, because it's considered as a key skill for PMs, especially because sometimes what can happen is there can be a lot of features for a new product or a lot of ideas that the team has. And trying to build everything can lead to scope creep, where it's like you're just trying to do a lot. So it is important to prioritize things. What uh, what are your tips on prioritization, and what should people keep in mind when they are choosing the planning the roadmap and prioritizing their list?
So depending on what stage of the product cycle you're in, if you're at the phase where you haven't built anything at all, you're trying to introduce something new, and obviously MVP is the marker you're using to prioritize as the benchmark for prioritization. So the question you're asking yourself at that point is, what are the set of features that I need to have for me to have an MVP of this thing, right? So first and first, we use an analogy that we just explained earlier, which is you want to have the simplest version that solves the problem, so you can begin to collect feedback. So if you have that in your mind, what the simplest solution should look like, then it already begins to inform all the things you need to have as an MVP. Now you evolve beyond that, and now you've launched that MVP, and that it's beginning to mature. The product is beginning to mature. You've got the feedback. You begin to evolve in the product, and you're at the point where that product is now ripe. It's ripe for quarterly. So for example, the company has a quarterly or half a year or full year goal, and say this year we want to grow user engagement, right, by X, or we want to grow revenue by X. As a product manager of that particular product, you begin to ask yourself, for example, if it's revenue, you begin to ask yourself, what can we do? What problems can we solve for our users? Because in the end, it has to be business and users. What problem can we solve for the users to allow us, further our company's objective? You ask yourself that question hard enough. With your team, it has to be with your team. You can't do that alone. Everybody within your team, you have that, ask that question. What are the things we can solve? You dive into data, you speak to your users, look at data, you look at past experience, and then you ask yourself, what are the things? You list them out. And then at that point, there are a bunch of 2x2 analysis you can do. You can do SWOT, you can do impact versus effort. I mean, you could even go more advanced and begin to do things like Potter's Law. So allow you to understand, these are these features I want to have. What are the impact of this feature to my objective? And also, timeliness is also very, very, very important, right? So you're asking yourself, how much effort would I need to build this thing versus the impact it would have on my deliverables that is tied to the company's deliverables. So that's how I look at prioritization. It's it feeds from the top. It feeds from what your objectives are, and it allows you to have a much more clearer view on how best to prioritize.
Right. Thank you. I'm sure it's gonna help our students when they're working on their projects and when they come to the prioritization module. Awesome. Thanks so much, Precious, for all your answers. Now, to start wrapping up, I would like to hear what tips would you have for someone. We have a lot of students from Africa, a lot of students from Nigeria, and in East Africa as well. So, especially specific to this part of the world continent, what tips would you have for someone who's trying to break into this field? Maybe what skills should they focus on, or if it's their first entry into product management, how should they approach their let's say job search, and what should they do beforehand?
So I'll give you I mean, may not sound very conventional, but it works for me, right? It works for me at some point in my career. Simplest advice, right? What space do you want to go into? X space. Maybe it's a fintech space. Maybe it's healthcare. Your choice. Say, for example, it's fintech space. Who are all the founders of every single startup in the fintech space you want to be in? Find them and pitch to them. Go into their DM on LinkedIn. Go into their DM on Twitter. Tell them, hey, this is me. I may not have all the experience in the world, but I have so much passion, and I would, if you give me an opportunity, I will blow your mind. I don't know, figure out your speech, figure out your pitch, right? And then be willing to take a lot of no's and be happy for the fact that they actually spend time to tell you no, and then learn and evolve from that process. But that's like one of the ways I'd suggest that a newbie should give it a try. Another option would be that just you look for internship roles, start from an intern and then climb up the ladder, and then yeah. But if I were to advise personally, I would vote for the idea of hunt them yourself. There are two kind of people. There are the folks that wait for things to happen to them, and the folks that happen to things. Or rather, they are the other folks. And as a product manager, you also need that kind of mentality, right? You don't wait for things to come to you. You move the market, you move your space, you move your products, you move your future, you move your team, and you can start practicing by selling yourself to every single founder in the space you want to be.
That's amazing advice, and I was smiling because, yeah, as you said, it's conventional, but I would say it's not like a lot of conventional advice, and not a lot of people do this. But if like whoever is watching this video, I think this is a great takeaway. If you are looking for a new role, figure out what industry you want to be in, and just like to re-say what Precious said, reach out to people. Reach out to product managers, reach out to founders, and just talk to them and sell yourself. At most, if you don't get a job, but you'll still make a connection which you can have for life, and probably learn a lot of things from that conversation. And that person will remember you because you reached out to them. And if they have an opportunity in the future, they'll think of you first. Then maybe advertising that role because you already reached out and were proactive.
I would even also add to that from my own experience, I actually went as far as, and I wasn't a new product manager. I already had some experience. I went as far as telling these founders that, hey, you may not have the budget to hire me, but I'm willing to work pro bono just to make sure that I prove myself to you. Then you can decide if you want to hire me or not. So it depends on how aggressive you want to be. So yeah.
That's awesome. Amazing. Thanks for closing us off with this great tip and sharing all about your wonderful journey. And everyone who's watching this, where can people find you if they'd like to get in touch?
I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Precious Karibo. Yes, Precious is a very girly name, I know. And then my name is also Precious Karibo on Twitter. So the two places that I spend my time, Twitter and LinkedIn.
Perfect. So find him on LinkedIn and follow Kwara as well. And yeah, thanks once again, Precious.
Thank you for having me.